Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new video. Welcome to part of my backyard. Got this beautiful tree right here and quite a bit of land. I do a lot of grounding out here. Some beautiful trees. This is one of my favorite trees that I do a lot of alchemical work with. But in this video, you guys, I want to talk about the mainstream model of health and how it's inherently flawed. And I believe because of how ridiculously flawed it is and how much of a lack of logic there is in it, I believe because of that it was systematically designed to be flawed in order to lead well-meaning humans astray and away from their health. You see, that's the way things work here in the Matrix. The mainstream health model will lead you to bad health. And that's oftentimes how the Matrix traps people. They lead you in a direction, promising you one thing, but it's actually a trap. So, I mean, let's just look at the food pyramid for one. The food pyramid is highly flawed. The food pyramid will make you sick. The food pyramid, it's incredible, just that one thing alone. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, look at the huge lack of emphasis on sleep. Look at the lack of emphasis on lighting. Look at the lack of emphasis on electromagnetic fields and attenuating them. This is a huge joke. And the New World Order knows what they're doing. They're not stupid. Excuse me. They are master chemists, master psychologists, master biologists. They are a consortium of evil individuals, such as, but not limited to, bought out and, soulless doctors, you name it. They understand your body better than you understand it yourself. And they have collectively thrown us out of alignment. And if you don't believe me, ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is look at the health statistics. Let's take a look at the fact that in 1976, I believe it was, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Again, that is absolutely embarrassing. In 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. That is ridiculous. And now we're here in 2020, and let's just take a look at 2020 for a second. Let's muse over or reflect at all of the crap, all of the nonsense that's going on in 2020. Let's use 2020 as a foundation to look back at the last 20 years and ask ourselves if we've made much progress as human beings, because the answer is no. And sure, we've made advancements with medicine. We live relatively longer than we did, our ancestors did. And that's only, however, if you buy into the history that we're being taught. I don't necessarily believe that the history that we're being taught is even accurate. So I'm not even going to say that. I've got a bunch of walnuts falling here. But, I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. We are fat, sick, and truly nearly dead. 100%. So, there's more cancer now than there ever was. There's more diabetes, more mental illness, more heart disease. This is not what happens when you're doing things the right way. You don't get led into these bad states of health when you're truly being healthy, now do you? Now, obviously, the equation is incorrect here. We're following the wrong advice. We're following the wrong way of living. And the way that we've been living, ladies and gentlemen, for the last however many years is by the system standards, which is basically stress, 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 and more stress. But make sure to try to eat healthy during all of that, and make sure while your stress hormones are jacked through the roof, and make sure to try to get a good night's sleep, and just shut up and deal with it. It is just remarkably insane, these lives that we live. We are so disconnected from Earth. We are so disconnected from ourselves, from the energy fields around our body, from the energy fields around everything. We exist within this tiny little fraction of our potential, and because of that, we can only perceive a very small fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, and because of that, we are in a limited state. Now, how the hell do you think that we're going to reach our highest potential when we operate in a limited state? That's ridiculous. That's like, that's like staying in kindergarten your whole life and never progressing in the curriculum, but expecting to, go off to college. Unless you progress, you don't grow. And if you don't grow, you don't evolve. If you don't grow, you remain stuck in the quagmire, if you will. So we need a radical change here, ladies and gentlemen, and I do indeed hope that amongst all the insanity in 2020, that we could use this as some type of breaking point with our old way of living, the old model of following all of these experts and all of these people that it's just insane. A lot of good the experts have done us have, I mean, look at the results. The experts. I mean, come on. I've seen quote unquote experts make people's lives that much more difficult. And I've seen the common sense of an individual who's not an expert lead those same people who are being led wrong by the experts. I've seen just commonplace people, quote unquote non-educated people. I've seen them lead people in the right direction. You see, common sense is not part of the foundation here anymore. And oftentimes when you're a quote unquote expert, you've been programmed with curriculum that literally bleeds the common sense right on out of you. So it's just insane. I mean, I've seen dietary alterations improve people's lives in less than a month, where their doctors had been treating them for years. Had a close family member of mine with a history of over 20 years of migraines get rid of their migraines through drastic dietary alterations and adhering to them. Boom, the migraines were gone. I've seen so many things be reversed with dietary alterations, things that would be considered quote unquote miracles, things that I don't even feel comfortable saying on here. Because you got to be careful what you say, or else you might get taken off or all this other nonsense. It's insane. So the mainstream health model, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely bogus in my opinion, because it emphasizes things that don't really produce the effects we're looking for. So anyways, it's just, excuse me. We've got to spend more time outdoors. We've got to be surrounded by the trees, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get outside under the natural lighting. We spend a large majority of our life indoors under the fluorescent lighting and all the LEDs and the blue light. We have something called endless summer syndrome. You should look up a book called Lights Out, Sleep, Sugar, and Survival by T.S. Wiley. In that book, she goes on to explain how the chronic light exposure that we've been exposed to for the last 80 to 100 years, the artificial lighting is completely destroying our prolactin, our melatonin, our neurotransmitters, and giving us something called endless summer syndrome, which is chronic exposure to light, which mimics or tells our subconscious, tells our biorhythms that it's basically summer. So we end up craving carbohydrates to pack on fat for winter. But winter never comes because we constantly have these long days, these artificially induced long days and long nights from all of the light exposure, which goes into your eyes, suppresses melatonin. You see, you're fucking up, you're destroying your circadian rhythm, your biorhythms, ladies and gentlemen. So when you have endless summer syndrome, you constantly crave carbohydrates because your internal environmental mechanisms are hardwired to try to pack on fat for winter. And what did our ancestors do? Well, they did their best to gather carbohydrates so that they could pack on fat through the insulin response, ladies and gentlemen, so that they could pack on fat to have padding for winter. And on top of that, putting on the extra fat and having the cholesterol in the system, ladies and gentlemen, lowers the freezing temperature of the cell membranes. So it's basically an insulation mechanism. So what do we do? What do people crave most in the Matrix? Carbohydrates, sugars. May it have something to do with lighting? I believe so, 100%. So if you watch the progression of the light bulb, ladies and gentlemen, ever since it became commonplace, ever since indoor lighting became affordable for the majority of the masses, if you watch as lighting was introduced into most homes, if you watch the health statistics, ever since the light bulb became commonplace in the average home, the health went straight downward. And right around the same time that mainstream modern lighting became commonplace or affordable for the average individual, the average American, processed sugar was hitting the market and made incredibly cheap and affordable. So yeah, you stay up late, you crave carbs, and the carbs were available, the sugars. So what I try to preach, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much the foundation of my health protocol, is to manage your lighting first and foremost, and your connection to nature. You need to ground yourself. You need to reconfigure your energy field, your energy body. Your body is supposed to be around the natural elements, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying that you should live in a teepee and, just stay outside all day, but you need to let light into your eyes, natural light in the morning, at midday, and as the sun goes down. You have to re-instruct your internal mechanisms that it's, so that you start operating in accordance to the solar and lunar cycles. So on top of that, I've developed a system with the UVX Skyper blue blocking glasses where when the sun goes down, you throw those on. Big old crow. And what that does, ladies and gentlemen, is what you're doing with the blue blocker, the UVX Skypers, is you are artificially creating a more natural circadian rhythm with the seasons. But you have to put them on when the sun goes down, at that twilight moment. So if you wait an hour after the sun goes down and then you put your glasses on, that defeats the purpose of using them. So regardless of what season it is, regardless of how early the sun goes down, you put the UVX Skypers on, and suddenly you're not letting all the wavelengths of blue light into your eyes, which suppresses melatonin. Now the UVX Skypers are not in any way, shape, or form a perfect system. It should be coupled with light reduction. It should be coupled with changing your light bulbs to incandescence or switching to orange lighting. There's a handful of things that you can do. I'm just trying to put out a very economical, easy, and affordable system here. It's a $12 pair of glasses. But here in the Matrix, we want instant gratification. We don't want to have to wear glasses when the sun goes down. We want to be able to see all the fine detail on the screens that we stare at. Because when you do wear the blue blockers, ladies and gentlemen, it blocks out the blue wavelengths. So everything that you look at looks a lot different. And I've literally heard people complain about that. I can't wear these because it's changing the way things look. Well, then suffer. In order for you to grow, you've got to be willing to change. And that's one of the main reasons why we don't change here in the Matrix. It's because we're not willing to grow. We're not willing to make the sacrifices that are necessary so that we can grow. I mean, God forbid you've got to wear some glasses at night. That must be really hard. I mean, are we that lazy? Are we that lazy? So again, the foundation of my health system is lighting and exposure to the elements. On top of that, there's some magnesium supplementation involved and a few other very basic things. You can get started with my health system for absolutely under $100. You could do it for under $50. I mean, a $12 pair of glasses, an $8 bottle of magnesium, and you going outside 3 times a day, and you putting glasses on when the sun goes down. That's $20 it takes to get started with my system. Now, obviously, you can advance that and start using the minerals, but I mean, you can pretty much get everything that you need for less than $100. I mean, that's the cost of one pair of shoes nowadays. And I've seen people drastically improve their quality of life by taking this advice and doing something unique with it. Don't take my word for it. What do I know? I'm just a dude who barely graduated high school. I'm not an expert. And here in the Matrix, you better have a degree. Because if you don't have a piece of paper on the wall, or some type of certificate with a little foil sticker on it, then you don't have the right to give advice. I mean, come on. That's like being on a boat and there's a hole in the boat and the boat's taking on water and you're not some master boat person and you're yelling to everyone, there's a hole in the boat, there's a hole in the boat, and everyone says, but you don't have a degree, you're not the captain. It's like, to a large extent, I mean, it's remarkable to me where today the conditioning is so extensive where if you don't have a certificate or some degree from some, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford Foundation funded school that's connected to the NIH and all these corrupt institutions, if you don't have some certificate from them, then you don't have the right to have an opinion. So I'm going to go with the people who harbor common sense. So it's like 9 in the morning right now, maybe a little later. I actually think it's about 9:30. So it's a beautiful tree right here, ladies and gentlemen. All of this greenery. One thing that's interesting about spending more time outside is that you just start to breathe deeper naturally. Your lungs take in more air. There's more oxygen around you. You see, your house is a New World Order kill pod where you're exposed to all of your temptations for the most part. Houses are like addiction dens. You have all your bad food, your pornography. You have your house that's filled full of dirty electricity and electromagnetic fields. You have all your blue light devices that keep you up late at night and fry your brain. You have your couch that keeps you sedentary. It's just disgusting how lazy we are. I know so many people who have dogs and they literally don't even do anything with their dogs. They just, the dogs sit on the couch all day and all night. Like, dude, get out and take your animal for a walk. Move your body, move your joints. When you're sedentary all the time, your assemblage point reconfigures to that. It's just remarkable, excuse me, you guys. So, I was going to talk about parasites in this video as well, but maybe we'll save that for an upcoming video. Because one of the greatest things that you can do to reset your, if you have cravings, if you feel run down, is to do a parasite cleanse. I wanted to talk about Hulda Clark in this video, and maybe go into detail about green black walnut hulls, cloves, and actually detoxifying parasites, ladies and gentlemen. So this is one thing, a lot of people will battle their whole lives with temptations that aren't even theirs. They're foreign installations that are programmed into their mind from the parasites. If you don't believe me, read Parasite Rex. Parasite Rex shows you in that book how ingenious these little micro critters are. They get inside of your system, they hijack your emotional field and your mental field, and they get you to crave things that are beneficial to its continuity, not yours. It's in the parasite's best interest to remain unnoticed by the host, so you go your whole life suffering from symptoms of having parasites, but you equate them to, bad health, or, I'm just depressed, or this, that, and the other. A lot of people who have aberrated thinking, a lot of people who have mental illness, a lot of people who are into weird things, more often than not have parasites. You need to cleanse your alimentary tract and your blood, ladies and gentlemen. So although I talk about lighting, magnesium, and these particular foundations like getting outside, there's also a need, if you've never done them before, to do a parasite cleanse. Now, I was just talking about this on my Patreon page. I just talked about, ladies and gentlemen, how I don't promote parasite cleansing as much as I used to. I used to be very, gung-ho about it. But I've seen how people respond to it, and some people get into it and do all this crazy shit where they're drinking turpentine and like, drinking massive amounts of iodine and doing all these crazy things simultaneously. You need to be smart. I've always condoned Hulda Clark's parasite cleanses. What's the other one? Humaworm. And a third one, or actually there's two others that I'm not going to talk about here on the public page. You can go on my Patreon page if you're interested in learning more about that. But black walnut holes, or green black walnut holes. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of weird, green black walnut holes. But these are there's so many herbs that nature grows for us that can help us purge our systems. It's just incredible. If you have a lot of sugar cravings, there's a good chance you have candida overgrowth. You have some type of microparasite in your system that's making you crave all of that sugar. I'm not saying that sugar is bad per se, but when you consume too much of it, not good. So getting rid of the parasites, if you have a quality product, and most of the parasite cleanses on the market suck, but when you start to actually get rid of these parasites, especially the microparasites, the bloodborne parasites, you start to regain some of the lost clarity that you lost here in this matrix. You see, what's sad is that the matrix makes you think that parasites are a third world thing and there's no way that we could have them here and all this nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, you have some type of something living on you and using your body as a hotel. And don't try to tell me that fruits and vegetables don't have parasites. Get real. The stuff is grown in the dirt. There's all sorts of people who touch the stuff by the time it gets to you. There are so many parasites that live in the skin of fruit, it's insane. So it's sad to me that many people who have symptoms of mental illness directly related to having parasites go their entire lives thinking that they're just messed up or screwed up in the head. No, ladies and gentlemen, more often than not all the times, but often, I've seen this time and time again, people's mental disorders are directly related to some type of foreign creature latched onto them and using their house as their home. So Humaworm is a good start. Hulda Clark's research is a good start, ladies and gentlemen. All of these things, there's so many things that we can do constantly to get our health back in alignment. It's just ridiculous that you can get so much done in one day. You can get so much done in one day. Come on. You can. You can get a massive amount of work done in one damned day. But we are a species that has been conditioned by particular forms of curriculum and logic and mainstream rationality, which is far from rational. And we've been put inside of our heads, within a place within our heads, within a place within our head, within a place within our head. And we're trapped in a prison cell that we cannot even see. It's a prison of your own mind. And what's interesting too, ladies and gentlemen, just a topic jump really quickly before I wrap this up. What's interesting about the parasites that you get that are physical in your system is they seem to have some type of weird symbiotic relationship to the Archon's foreign installations that it pumps into your mind. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say that, please go back and watch my old videos on the Archon and how it projects thoughts into your mind. But anyways, you guys, we covered a few subjects here. Never lose hope, regardless of what you're told from the quote-unquote experts. Oftentimes these people have a degree in pulling the hope right out of your soul and making you feel hopeless, whether they're aware of it or not. So I've been to quite a few quote-unquote experts growing up, and they never put emphasis on diet or nutrition or anything. It was always just, oh, you have symptoms? Well, here's a drug. This is insane. If you are not noticing the insanity around you in this world, then you're probably not conscious at all. You need good sleep. You need about 9 hours. Technically speaking, at least according to suppressed NIH statistics and information, You need at least 9.5 hours of sleep every night so that you can regenerate and not be ill, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it's not even related to parasites. It's related to sleep when you have mental disorders. Sometimes it's a mixing pot of all of it. You need at least 9.5 hours of sleep a night. In the early 1900s, ladies and gentlemen, people slept from between 9.5 to 10.5 hours a night. Now we're lucky to get 6 goddamn hours. And more often than not, it's totally interrupted sleep. You wake up at least 20 times a night. You just don't remember it. The Wi-Fi, the electromagnetic fields, and all the crap in your home stimulates your body. It makes your cells agitated, and it makes it very difficult to enter into regenerative sleep. This is why when you go camping, you feel so much better. This is why when you go camping, you wake up feeling like a fucking champion. It's because you not only slept grounded to the earth, but you were away from all of the electromagnetic fields, the Wi-Fi, and all the crap. I mean, it's just insane. And yes, the NIH has suppressed sleep information for years, ladies and gentlemen. So, they've got us trapped because we've got all these symptoms and issues of being out of alignment, yet we don't know how to get back into alignment. When we're taught that only the experts can help us get back into alignment, even though for the last fucking 100 years, they haven't really been able to do much for us. Look at the health statistics, ladies and gentlemen. The quote-unquote experts have led us in the wrong direction, and there's plenty of proof to prove that. What makes more sense to me is common sense, and common sense tells me that I am a natural organic entity living in a natural organic world, and that maybe, just maybe, like every fucking thing else in the world, I'm designed to be in connection to the natural light cycles, the swinging of the seasons. Maybe, just maybe, like everything else in the fucking world, I'm designed to eat foods that come from nature, just like every other species. Maybe, just maybe, I'm not supposed to be plugged in to an artificial construct that's trying to turn me into a cyborg, also known as a television or a phone. We spend so much time absorbing unnatural light, it's disgusting. Maybe, just maybe, I was designed to be connected to the earth and not connected to or living in a home. My dog's looking at me through the window. That's funny. I'm not even going to get into it. I love you all. And until next time, peace be with you.